Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and technically doing an ANNIHIATION deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely fun deck to play to link summon out all sorts of amazing boss monsters. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Picari. Picari is a definite 3 out of the deck that has an amazing ability. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Ice Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect for this card to have because we have a lot of powerhouse spells that this card can actually grab from your deck. We then play 3 copies of a Chi-Chi. A Chi-Chi is an amazing 3 of in the deck as well, because this card is basically the Stratos of the deck, that if it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 level 4 lower ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a really cool ability to add any of them that you need directly from your deck to your hand. We then play a single copy of Doyon. Doyon is a great 1 of in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card. If this card is normal or special summon, you can actually target an ANNIHIATION monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Bururu. Bururu is actually a tuner for the deck, which is really nice to help you summon out your synchro monsters using this card. But it has a really good effect that if it's normal or special summon, you can actually send 1 ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use for this card. We then play a single copy of Hayari. Hayari is just a good extender in the deck, which is why we play this card as a 1 of in the build. You can play the Earth ANNIHIATION instead if you want, because they both basically do the same thing. And if you control an ANNIHIATION monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is why we play these in the deck. But I feel like the copy of a Hayari is just a little bit better, which is why I play this card as a 1 of in the build. But you can totally play either or because you're just using them for extenders. We then play a single copy of Danmari. Danmari is amazing as a 1 of in this build, and this card helps out so much in this particular deck because when an attack is declared involving your ANNIHIATION monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that attack, which helps you protect your cards like the copies of Arrival, which is just super cool. It also has the ability that while you control a Link 6 monster, quick effect, you can manage this card from your field or graveyard and target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and it negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a great ability to be able to use just to give you a little bit of protection. We then play a single copy of the ANNIHIATION Shield. This card is great as a 1 of in the deck as an extender, just like your copy of Hayari, because it has the ability you can target a face-up Cyverse effect monster you control, negate its effects, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect for this card to have to just instantly get you another monster on your side of the field, so you can start going in for your Link summons. We then play a single copy of Mathmech Circular. Mathmech Circular is really good in this deck as a 1 of because we do play a Mathmech engine in this particular build, but this card is amazing because it lets you send a Mathmech monster, except another copy of this card, from your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is on the field and a Mathmech monster is normal or special summoned to your side of the field while you control this monster, you can add a Mathmech spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability for this card to have to instantly be able to send your copy of Sigma from your deck to the graveyard and then be able to revive your copy of Sigma off its ability, then searching out a copy of your equation directly from deck to hand, which is really cool about Sigma and your copy of Circular. We then play a single copy of Addition and a single copy of Subtraction. These cards do the exact same thing with the ability to target a face-up monster on the field and then special summon themselves out to your side of the field and either increase that monster by 1,000 or decrease that monster by 1,000, which is really cool depending on which one you use between Addition or Subtraction, either adding or subtracting attack points from a monster of 1,000 points, which is really cool to be able to use with these cards so you can OTK your opponent a little bit easier, but they're just really good extenders in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is a fantastic hand trap at just stopping your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is really good this format at just stopping your opponent in their tracks and it's just a fantastic hand trap overall. We then play just a single copy of Nibiru in this build because we are playing Crossout Designator, so this card is just really good as a Crossout Designator target, but sometimes you will draw into it and you can use it against the opponent. But I really don't want to walk into Nibiru with this particular deck because it's very easy to walk into Nibiru with this deck, which is why I'm playing Crossout Designator. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, guys, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a definite one-of in the build, just to be able to stop your opponent from hand-trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Mathmech Equation. Mathmech Equation is a searchable monster reborn off your copy of Circular. We then play a single copy of Idol Reborn. This card is great as a one-of in the deck because it's an in-archetype monster reborn for your Adignister cards. We then play a single copy of Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit is a definite one in the deck because it's a second monster reborn for the archetype just to extend your plays. We then play 2 copies of Ignister Island. Ignister Island is amazing in the deck as a 2-of because this card helps you out so much and is actually searchable off our Link 1, which is why we just play 2 copies of this card in the build. But it's amazing in the deck because if you control no monster in your main monster zone, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Adignister monster from your hand. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters with the same attribute, or same original attribute, by the effect of Ad Ignister Island, which is a really cool ability to be able to use on this card just to extend your plays and get more cards on your side of the field. And as long as you can keep your monster in the extra monster zone, you can just keep special summoning as long as they're different attributes, which is really amazing about this card. Also, if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish 1 Adignister monster from your graveyard and set this card back to your side of the field, which is an amazing effect to be able to just get this card back on the field. We then play 3 copies of I Meet You. This card is a great 3-of in the deck, and I absolutely love this card as a 3-of because it lets you reveal 1 Cyverse monster with 2300 attack in your hand or your extra deck to add 1 Adignister monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand, essentially being a crazy powerful Rhoda with extra steps, which is just absolutely amazing for this build. It also has the ability that during the end phase of this turn, you take 2300 points of damage if you do not special summon the revealed monster or a monster with the same name after you resolved this effect. And you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, except for Cyverse monsters, which is again not that big of a deal. But this card is a definite 3-of because it's an amazing Rhoda for this build. We then play 3 copies of Cynet Mining. Cynet Mining is also an amazing Rhoda for the deck just to make sure we're going to get to the exact card that we need. Essentially playing like 6 copies of Rhoda in the deck, and plus we have 3 Stratoses basically in the main deck, so we have 9 ways to search the exact card that we need, which is just super crazy for the consistency of this build. We then play 3 copies of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is really good in this deck as a 3-of because it basically just stops your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all your plays, especially for cards like Droll, Ash, Nibiru, and even Infinite Impermanence, which we're playing in the trap lineup. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is a definite 3-of in the build, just to stop your opponent's monster effects while also setting this card to your side of the field to lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is really good as a 3-of in the deck, plus it's a Crossout Designator target, which is super good to make sure that we don't get hit with Infinite Impermanence. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Dark Infant Adignister. This card is basically a searcher for our field spell, which is why we play this card as a 2-of in the build. It just requires any non-link Adignister monster to make this card, which is super easy to do in this build. And if this card is link summoned, you get to add 1 Ignister Island from your deck to your hand. And when a Cyverse monster with 2300 original attack points activates its effect, quick effect, you can move this card from your monster zone to a different monster zone that it points to, and then change its attribute, which is really cool to be able to do, to just change its attribute to something else, so you have additional attributes on your side of the field for when you go into your copy of Arrival, which is just super cool about this card. I absolutely love this card as a 2-of in the build. Speaking of Arrival, we do play a single copy of Arrival. I really like the Arrival build because this card is just the amazing boss monster this deck really needed when it was released. But it's super cool because this card is basically like a towers monster and just can end games so easily. It is a Link 6 monster, and it has the ability that the original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of Link materials used for this card's Link summon, and it's unaffected by other card effects. And once per turn, you can target one other monster on the field and destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Adagnister token to your side of the field, which is a pretty cool ability for this card to have, so you can get additional materials on the field. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker. This card is really cool to be able to play in the deck because it was actually used in the show against the copy of Arrival, which is just really amazing. But this card is amazing in this particular build because it does help you go in for game, and it's just an amazing Link monster overall. We then play a single copy of Dark Templar. Dark Templar is how we extend our plays to go in for the copy of the Arrival, because it has the ability, if this card is special summoned, or if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, even during the damage step, you can actually special summon as many level 4 or lower Adagnister monsters from your graveyard as possible to zones this card points to, but their effects are negated, which is not that big of a deal because it can help you get 3 monsters on your side of the field so that you can get some really powerful effects, so you can go in for your copy of Arrival, which is such a cool thing about this card. This card is just really good as a 1-of in the deck because it just helps extend your plays so you can go in for your copy of Arrival. We then play a single copy of Deco Talker Heat Soul. This is so we can dig deeper in the deck, plus it does have 2,300 attack points, which can help us get to our copy of a Chi-Chi, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Transcode Talker. Transcode Talker is great because this card is Walking Monster Reborn for the build. One copy of Update Jammer. Update Jammer is great for your copy of Access Code, so it can attack twice, and so you can go in for game. One copy of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is great in this particular build so that you can use this card as a Monster Reborn, because this card is also a Walking Monster Reborn, just like your copy of Transcode Talker. One copy of Cyverse Wick Kid. This card is great in the build as well because it helps you get to your copy of Bururu, and it's just really good overall in this deck. We play a single copy of G-Golem Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart is great in this build because this card helps you target a Link monster that's an Earth monster in the graveyard and special summon to a zone this card points to, so you can bring back your copy of your Transcode Talker to a zone it points to, which is a great ability for this card to have. Play a single copy of Lingeribo. Lingeribo just eats trap cards like Evenly Matched, which is really nice. Play a single copy of the Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus is easy to go into in this build, and this card is great because when it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card and then target one card your opponent controls and shuffle it back in the deck. And also, during your main phase, you can destroy spells and traps your opponent controls up to the number of Adagnister monsters that you control, which basically can be like almost like a walking Harpy's Feather Duster. One copy of the Light Dragon. Both of these are in the deck because they both have 2,300 attack points. Light Dragon is amazing in this build because this card helps out a lot because it does have 2,300 attack points, so you can use it with different cards in the deck, but it also pops cards on the field, which is really nice. We finally play a single copy of Alum Bersham. Alum Bersham is just a great extender in the deck to be able to use with your Math Mech engine because it lets you add a Math Mech card from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect for this card to have just to dig into the deck for your copies of your extenders. And this card is great in the deck overall. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Adagnister before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's super fun to be able to play, especially with the Math Mech package in the deck. It makes it super consistent, and it's really fun because you can just walk through hand traps with this build since you're playing cards like Crossout Designator. So that's it for the build, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.